Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday, last day of May. We're having our morning coffee here on the Rancho before we get to work. And Jen and I wanted to do a video because, as you know, on the Missy Jen channel, Jen is doing a series about what I think is the proper way to transition, come out, figure out if you are transgender and all that. But one of the things we never really talk too much about is the stuff that can go wrong when you don't do stuff the right way. And I've a couple of my videos nibble with things, and as you know, I put up the 6 principles of
that's a must see.
For what I think are the happiness. And I wanted to just talk to you a little bit this morning and everybody out there about some of the dangers of going down the wrong path, what I call do-it-yourself tranny. When you go out there and you're determined to to do things on the sly, self-medication, and being in the closet. And I thought we could talk a little bit about that today because we rarely talk on some of the stuff that could go wrong. But you have a lot of experience with girls that are always trying to secure hormones and stuff like that through the internet and contacting you, and I get girls contacting me.
I actually had one in Missouri that lived 20 miles away. I supplied her with hormones for 2 years. She didn't even have the money for it, so I ordered them and just gave them to her.
Yeah, now there would be a certain amount of liability attended to that. If something ever happened to that girl, and I'm imagining nothing ever did, they could have come back to Jen theoretically.
Well, nobody knew that this was coming from me. So.
Yeah, it's sort of a risky thing, and I don't think you'd ever do that. With probably years ago.
I never do that again because of the health risks.
Yeah, and you have a lot of compassion, and you felt sorry. I mean, we get contacted by girls, and I use sort of pre-girls all the time that ask about the hormones and can you get this, can you get that. And when you're doing things on the secret and on the sly, the first thing in your mind is you don't think that you'll ever be, you think you're more clever than everybody else, and you don't think that you'll ever be found out. And we get the email, if I just had some small titties, how happy I would be. And it's really kind of a losing game, isn't it?
Well, because the thing is, you'll start getting the little boobies, and then you want bigger, and then you want bigger, and you want more. And other people will notice that you have budding breasts, and
yeah, there you go. You can't wear a t-shirt again. You can't, your life starts to become very confined. And then eventually somebody's going to look at you, the totality of you, and say, what the hell is going on? You look so different. What are you doing? And if you're married, woe and be gone in that type of situation. You will definitely be found out because, of course, one of the side effects is, if you're on those hormones and things, you start to lose the ability to have erections and all that stuff. And it's, and if you're married, it's really a slippery slope to go down. So we're here today to tell, and I think Jen stresses this a few times, you've got to be careful about being cheerled when people cheerleading you to be all you can be and be the girl that you should be, because sometimes you should not be that girl at all, in fact.
Sometimes if you think you are that girl, then go and see a therapist and do the gender identity diagnosis test, which now is called gender dysphoria test, the Harry Benjamin test, and talk to a therapist first before you even make the decision to transition, so that you actually can have facts on paper.
My therapist is, facts going forward. Facts are your friend. Theory and speculation, well, I think on this, I think on that. The day comes when you get caught out, you don't have a leg to stand on. And when you go to see a therapist, in fact, that therapist is also trained to see that you might just be a highly depressed individual at that time and seeking another outlet of relief, or maybe you don't get enough attention in life and you feel like you're not appreciated. So you want more of the you want to put yourself in a position where you think more people will like you and watch you and all that kind of thing. All these things the therapist is trained to sort of look at to make sure that you get the right diagnosis. Because when you go down the wrong track with on hormones and all that, you could be setting yourself up for something that you don't really want at all. Because I think a lot of pre-girls have that fantasy, oh, it'll be fun to have boobies and still have my, my penis and stuff. But the reality is, you start on those hormones and stuff, you're not going to give a hoot about a lot of it. That's what I call the cheat of hormones. If you're just doing it for sexual fun, you're going to find there's a cheat to it, and you're not going to have those thrills that you want. And on YouTube, we were talking about that. There's so many cheerleaders that aren't even in proper counseling and therapy themselves that are ordering hormones from overseas and stuff and trying to tell other girls that you can be all you can be. Let the true you come through. This is highly dangerous stuff when you're talking about gender change.
Right. We've seen particularly one cheerleader, and we will not point fingers at our names or anything, but we've seen a particular cheerleader that is self-medicating and proclaims herself as fully blown on HRT for over a year and being out for over a year, and all that matters to her is her outer appearance.
Yeah.
Which the outer appearance has not that much, not a significant role of being a woman. There's a lot of other things that are a lot more important. That's the mental and the emotional aspects of being a woman. It's a totally different ballpark from being a man, and the man's emotions and the man's thought processes, interests. And the thing that I also encountered here on YouTube is when you don't see the therapist and you don't get documented, and you dress up as a girl and you go into the women's restroom and somebody clocks you, you can get arrested because you have no evidence that you are female. When you show your driver's license, it says male, and it doesn't match with your outer appearance, and you can get arrested, and that can ruin the entire rest of your life.
Well, I've seen people get thrown out of clubs and stuff when they try to sneak in and use undercover of, well, the girls' night out, we're dressing and all that, and literally get thrown out bodily out of clubs and things, and it's a very dangerous thing. When you go down this path of self-medicating and do-it-yourself transition, I call it, you just don't know the minefields that await you down there. And we're still, when you're a cheerleader, all of a sudden you get other people's lives in your hand, and you've started to take responsibility for their lives and their transition. And sadly, you've now compounded the what I call the what would you call it? You compounded the error by now telling somebody else cheerleading and causing them to go down. And in this particular case, it's this transgender that lives with a starting gal, and you just wonder, oh my God, neither of them have had benefit of counseling, and the one got called out, the new one, and it's just a whole, trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube again. We're found
turned into a cluster mess.
Cluster FU, right? So
there was one girl that wanted to start transitioning. Well, she came here on YouTube, and she ran into one of those cheerleaders that does it all wrong from the get-go. And then, of course, started to do the same thing, self-medicating, dressing up and going out, posting things on Facebook, and then, of course, job, family, everybody, friends,
every
all
principle
at once.
Of being happy as a transgender goes right out the window.
And they all saw that, and it was like a nuclear bomb went off of epic proportions. You're talking about work, family, and friends.
Yeah,
Any social aspect just totally blew up.
You think of all the things that intersect when you change your gender, supporting yourself, financial needs. This one just struggles, the cheerleader and the depending on the other. And it's like watching slow motion train wreck sometimes. So we're always here to encourage you. If you think you have the dysphoria, please, 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 don't get it in your head that cheerleaders push you over the edge. Yes, I can do this, and I can just order these pharmaceuticals from overseas, and I'm going to be on my way. It might be the worst mistake that you ever made in your life. So
just think about the danger of blood clots. I worked with a girl, and she was a genetic girl, and she was just, and I'm saying just, a very low dose birth control, and she had 4 blood clots in her lung. She collapsed, and she's now been on medication, blood thinner medication, for 2 solid years, because it takes 2 years to get these 4 blood clots to dissolve and come out of your lungs. So she nearly died on a 0.625 milligrams.
what happens when one of those clots breaks loose, hits your brain, you have a stroke, and a lot of times that's it. Be careful. Don't listen to cheerleaders. I often tell you, and I've told Jen, and I've told people in videos how I admire the girls that do the cross-dressing and enjoy it, and then put the stuff in the closet and move on in their lives. They're the happiest girls that I know on YouTube, because they keep that part of their life, the fantasy life. And a lot of times a spouse can grudgingly accept that. Okay, Rosie is a little different. Okay, just try to do that on a Friday night.
My ex actually, when I moved in initially in 2001, I showed her my spiked heels, 6-inch spiked heels and all that, and she was able to accept that I was cross-dressing, and she said, you can do that within the house, don't do it outside of the house, do it, and then do it when I'm not home. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's what I did, and I was actually happy for years.
And it's good, yeah, you were very, very happy for a long time, because the parameters were very defined. So a lot of times I'm envious of these girls, because they just put the stuff in their closet and go out there in male mode and conquer the world and all that. But that's our 2 cents worth on it anyway. And as usual, Jen has very sound advice on that. I know you want to add something. I know that finger. Go ahead.
So basically, when it comes now to because the topic is the cheerleaders here on YouTube, and maybe even cheerleaders out there in the world, when you as a newcomer and you're starting to think about transition, run into one of these cheerleaders, research these people, investigate those people, get their background, ask them how they got started, and if they say that they are not seeing an endocrinologist or doctor, and they're not seeing a therapist, you want to run away as fast as you can, because these people are trouble.
Or worse still, lie, because these people, girls that have gone through the process, know the tripwires of reality and the truth for going through the process. And a lot of times these girls spill out knowledge that's not true, and it sort of betrays them as not being on the right road. So we care about you, right? On the Jen and Rosie Reality TV, it's not often we do a series upload, maybe 1 or 2 a month, but we feel very strongly about this topic. So for the Rosie girl, thanks for watching. Have a good day, everyone.